Hey kids.
Hi.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is.
Yes.
And welcome to the city and beyond.
Yeah. And this is our quick, probably not that quick planning update video. If you didn't see our 2025 update video, there's a section on there about like our plans for the type of content we're gonna make, and this is one of them. We're making videos about hopefully once a month. Maybe we might skip when there's no updates or no real updates, but we're planning to make videos about us planning our trips to, hopefully inspire or help guide you. See that we have probably the same issues sometimes you have when planning trips.
Yeah.
And basically how we like overcome those challenges or just organize ourselves and stuff like
and
that.
navigate the decisions and all that.
Yeah. So, and also in that video, we talked about the 2025 trips we have planned.
Correct.
And so, yeah, if you didn't see either of those, if you didn't see the whole video, at least there's chapters, go check out those because we're not going to go over that here. But we are going to go into the first trip that we said we were going to talk about for our planning videos. And that is
Africa.
Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa specifically. For all my geography nerds. So right now, the main challenge that we have is locking down
The
country. Yeah. And then dependent on the country, which city to go to. Now, if it was just she and I that were going on this trip, we'd basically just like throw a dart, figure it out, and then maybe visit more than one location.
Yeah, probably would have visited more than one, at least two.
Yeah, but we have the little guy, and we have to be considerate of that because you shouldn't have your child in the car for long periods of time. If you do, no shade, it's all right. I'm sure they do it in other places. That's just not how we get down.
Why are we going on this trip?
We are going on this trip because I am achieving a milestone birthday this year. There is a 0 at the end of my age later on this year. I am turning 70. Yes, I know I look good. I've moisturized. I'm turning 40 this year.
Yeah. And it'll be, I guess we could say it is going to be a Father's Day gift.
And it will also be a Father's Day gift. Yes. So the why. The why is I wanted to go somewhere that we had never been. And really that was the main thing. We live in North America. We've been to Central America. We've been to Oceania. We've been to a couple of Asian countries. We've been to a few European countries. We have not been, we've been to one Middle Eastern country.
Yes.
Or two, depending on how you want to do the Middle East, but at least one. Mm-hmm. And we have not been to Africa. So I figure, hey, look, why not? Let's go.
Add a continent.
Add a continent.
That would be our 4. Yes, because we're in North America. Oceania. But it's Australia. If you grew up when we were growing up, it's just Australia, but Oceania. Europe and
Asia.
So Africa would be the 4th, right? Wait, that's what I just did because I did.
It'd be the 5th.
And then so
it'd be the 5th.
It would be the
5th. Five times.
It'd be the 5th. We would just be missing Antarctica and South America, which we have.
We got very close. We were at the end of Central America.
We just want to have a nice like family trip with the 3 of us, and visit somewhere new, like completely new to all 3 of us, which is probably. I mean, I guess we went to Puerto Rico. That was somewhere completely new to all 3 of us, but it's familiar. I feel like this is the first trip that would be somewhere we haven't gone, just the 2 of us. And we're taking off. Yeah. So this would be the first trip where it's completely new to it. I kind of wish we would have went to Africa before so that we would have had like a little taste of like, okay, well, we're familiar a little bit, and even though we're changing the country, we know what to expect and stuff like that, but we haven't gone, so it's completely new to us as well. So that's kind of, for me, I know it's one of the things I'm like, I'm experiencing something new and I have to deal with the toddler. It's a little nerve-wracking.
But overall, I'm pretty excited about it. I still feel like it's going to happen, and I say probably because circumstances change. It's a very big world. Lots of things happen. Lots of things switch up and change. Just in general, especially because of the countries that we've been looking at, there could be a lot of things that happen. But I'm pretty confident we're going to go.
So things that are coming up for us while we're planning is considering things like, well, I already kind of said one, which is that this will be our first time in Africa as well as our sons. And so we would all be experiencing this new place at the same time. We've never done that so far in the first 2 years of his life. So doing that with the toddler is a little scary, but we're kind of like, and that's even if it was like a new South America. Like it's not Africa itself. It's the fact that it's just somewhere new. Like we've never experienced a place like it.
Yeah.
And so like even with Asia, like I would still be kind of like nervous because there's a lot of Asian countries we have not gone to.
Right.
And even though we're familiar with like the flight that we went to Singapore, we've been to Nepal, like we would have been familiar, it still would be kind of like, ooh, never been to Malaysia, like, and that's where we decided to go. But this is a new continent and it will be a new country. That's one of the things we're considering, or things to take into consideration as we plan, I should say.
Yeah.
So like how we get there and like how long we stay or what neighborhoods we pick and stuff like that. So
things to expect, cultural norms. I feel like most of the places that we're looking at have been industrialized, because I know people get an image in their mind when they think of certain parts of the African continent. But more so, I feel like it's one of those things like, how would I say this? Okay, so like a good example would be when we went to Nepal and we were in the airport. There was like this whole big thing about how strict the guards were when you got there, and they were pretty strict, but like they were also very professional. Like just don't cross any lines or do anything like ridiculous. And sometimes you get I get the American like exceptionalism in my mind. It's just like, oh, like I think our airports are pretty strict comparatively. No. We don't know strict.
Yeah,
we don't know strict. We know inconvenience. We don't know strict.
Yeah.
So things like that, like, is how easy is it to get a pack and play? Because I know a lot of cultures in different countries, kids just sleep in bed with their parents. Like, so would they give us a bassinet or a crib or something? More than likely, yes, but there's possible that it's no. You know what I mean? So things like that.
Yeah, those are things to consider. I think we're leaning towards like an Airbnb, but there's a good chance that we try to just do like a resort or a hotel, which is new for us to consider. But like because we have our son, like it is something we should consider is staying somewhere where it's like a little bit more inclusive. So like food, drink, inclusive, security, activity inclusive, like in like our stay, so that like, but then obviously we don't want to just stay on a resort the whole time. So this is something that we're like, it's like, oh, okay, it gets, checks off some things that we don't have to worry about, but at the same time it's not very what's the word, like it's not really how we like to travel, so it'd be compromising like how much we'll enjoy it. Like we'll want to explore, we'll want to kind of like be out and about or not be restricted in any way. So so that's something we're thinking about. Also how long the flight is. So depending, obviously, I'm looking at our map across from us also, where it's like depending if we're on the west part of Western Africa versus Eastern, not only the length of the flight, but the time difference. So it's like
Yeah.
How far ahead do we want them to be? How far ahead do we want the country we choose to be ahead of our time?
Right.
Do we want it less? Will it be easier for it to be more? I think one thing that we've pretty much decided is we're thinking South Africa, southern region of Africa, or Eastern is probably preferred at this point, just because I think we're slow. Western. Yes, Western. Yes, I keep saying Eastern. Yeah. East Africa would be obviously the right.
Like Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
So,
yeah, my bad. I meant to say
Boom! I know maps.
Eastern. I'm looking at it. I'm like, Eastern Africa. We would prefer Western or Southern Africa, not Eastern. Eastern, we're kind of already. We were considering Ethiopia and Kenya. And Kenya was, now I can say, was actually where we were pretty, we're going to Kenya. We're going to Kenya next year. And now we're maybe not Kenya first. Maybe not Ethiopia first. We'll wait and just kind of, just get into, the western part of Africa versus going further into Africa for our very first trip. And our son's very first long flight.
Yes, exactly.
So, and I think I wrote down, it could be a difference of 4 hours. It could be for Western Africa, it could be 10 hours flight, and for Southern, 14 hours.
Yeah, with usually some sort of a layover somewhere.
Yeah.
And even though I was going for egotistical reasons. Kamau, with a U, not a now, because I know some of you mess it up, is a Swahili name based out of Kenya. And I wanted to go somewhere where my name was John. That was pretty much it. Eventually.
Well, the time difference. The time difference between Western and Southern Africa it could be between 5 to 7 hours. Mm-hmm. And so that's something we're also thinking about, and
because we have to adjust them to the time. We obviously wouldn't really have a problem with it. We've done it several times, but he doesn't really. He's really young. He doesn't understand everything yet. We can be okay, it's not actually bedtime. Okay, I know it's kind of bright inside of here, but now it's time to go to sleep. So when you get there, you're not all out of whack.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been on flights before, so the plane aspect at least won't also be new, because I think that would have been a lot. Mm-hmm. It's your first flight, it's long. I don't know if maybe that would be better, but if he was younger, maybe. But I think that would have been a lot. But since he's been on planes before, the humming and the airplane noise always relaxes him, and
it's a big sound machine.
It's a big sound machine. So he usually falls asleep. So that won't be, I think, really hard. It's once he gets bored that I think it's a little challenging. And then once we land, I think figuring out the time difference from the time that we get on the plane it's the clock starts of getting him adjusted. And so that's been something I've been thinking about, and I think that affects the length of our trip. Mm-hmm. So another thought we're thinking is we'll probably do usually for trips like this we do 10 days, and that includes the 2 travel days.
I had a random thought, and you can feel free to move this around, edit it out if you want to, right? But for all you naysayers out there, because I've seen your comments, I've heard what you've said, I've met some of you in person. Even with a child, we do not do checked bags. I know.
Okay.
I was thinking about car seats and stuff, and I was we'd have to take that bag. And so I was planning in my head as you were talking.
All the things to think about. The length of the flight, time difference, and the other thing I had down was the how. Well, you said industrial, but how developed the city is.
I feel developed is dismissive. That's all the reason why.
Developed?
Yeah.
Because I feel it's different everywhere.
It is.
Even towns in America where it's we don't walk. So our sidewalks are not there.
I was about to say, I don't know how many of you have been to a town that doesn't have sidewalks, but they are way more common than they should be.
Yeah, it's really so. So yeah, I guess industrialized.
And I'm talking in America, if that wasn't clear.
Yeah, America. So yeah, industrialized.
Yeah.
Like how walkable a city is basically has
Very
been a big part because our Auckland's not gonna walk everywhere. He barely likes to walk. I mean, he walks here and he walks while he's in school and stuff. They go for walks and stuff. But like I'm imagining we're gonna have the stroller a lot. He might fall asleep in the stroller, and we're not gonna want to have to carry it a lot. Like if it's like bumpy or rocky. We've been to cities, here where like that happens.
And if he was older, it would be a little bit different. I'd be willing to stretch it out. But I was also very adamant that I didn't want to stay in a place where like I'm only there to be in this one city in particular. And I mean, there's a chance that like we will just stay in like one city in particular.
Probably.
But we were watching, I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was Ethiopia, somewhere else. But
one city or one neighborhood?
Like one neighborhood in a city. We were watching some video. I can't remember which country it was, but we were trying to figure out where we wanted to go, and it was someone exploring it. And they essentially said the downtown area was the only part of the city that had been built up that you could walk around and do things in. And then they went to other places, and it like reminded me of like the market by my grandmother's.
In Jamaica,
sorry.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's cool and all, but like I am familiar with that area. I have cousins and uncles that can help me around, and I'm like, I'm not going to explore with him and don't have the means to not only entertain him but keep watch of him in certain situations. If that even remotely makes sense. Yeah.
And he's young. He's only gonna be 2 on this trip, so. Yeah.
So no more free flights.
No, and it won't be a free flight. Yeah.
It's all right.
We were not doing that much anyway because he's a big boy and he needs his own seat. Yeah. All those things are things that we're trying to figure out, and is making it therefore hard to figure out which country to choose, which is the last part that I want to cover. We're still in the part where I have an approximate amount how much it will cost us to go to the furthest place, I think. But we haven't decided which country to choose. And at the same time, we've thought about backups if this just doesn't feel right. Because we have to think about not only the logistics of it, but the financials of it. Yeah. And if it just, if those things like balance out. I mean, obviously our son is a big part of the decision of where to go, which country to choose or which location to choose in general, if we end up not going to Africa at all. Yeah. But also, thinking about like the financials and the logistics. Because then there's things like visas and the medical aspects of, like some countries require yellow fever, some suggest it. Right. Malaria pills, some don't require it at all because they're so industrialized and it's not as big of a risk. I feel like a lot of people don't consider going to Africa, especially with kids, because of vaccines. Right.
Which honestly, it could be like a big factor. And I think the other real big factor is it's not inexpensive to get to these places. And not to say that like that's going to be the biggest hurdle. Because a lot of times with a lot of countries, we've personally found to be true that the pricier it is to get there, the cheaper it is once you're there.
Yeah. In our experience so far, that is so true. That has been
universally true without a solitary exception whatsoever.
Was it New Zealand? Yeah, I guess it was.
New Zealand was essentially the same, like Canada.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right? Where it's like, sure, like we're close in amount, but for the most part, you're pretty cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't too. I think when we got there, it wasn't too expensive. Yeah, but obviously getting there was pricey.
Yeah,
I feel like the max I'm willing to spend for each of us on a flight is $1,000. $1,000 each is pretty much what we've gone with for every flight we've had out of our hemisphere.
Yeah.
Well, besides going into Western Europe. We don't spend $1,000.
No.
Yeah, that's more like a flight to California for us.
Exactly that.
Which is like half or less than that.
And
so
I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I'm just tracking flights and looking up flights, and if I see a random deal, I'm like, "That's it. We're pivoting.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it happen."
Yeah, so yeah, that would be significantly cheaper, but then obviously Europe is significantly more expensive when you're there. So that is definitely one of the
because it's cheaper to get there. See
Yeah,
how the rule works?
Yeah.
See how the rule works?
So what was I gonna say? So correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But these are the countries that we're considering. I think are the final.
These are the finalists. Yes, the big three. Number one on the list.
Number one, not in any particular order, or just like I should say where we're leaning towards.
You can say where we're leaning because things change.
Okay.
But yeah.
So the places we're leaning towards.
Yeah.
So I'll start with 3. So the third place is Abidjan, Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast, yes.
Abidjan is how you say it.
I think that's how you say it.
I've found a few videos and I've taken a liking to it, and like it showed come out, and I was like, actually, we weren't considering it. It wasn't in the consideration, but I actually think we'll really like it here. So I would say, number 3. Number 2 on the list is Ghana, going to Accra.
Yes.
That's a really good option. I actually have a childhood best friend whose family still lives there. She's there right now, actually, with her daughter, who's a year younger than our son. And so, we're like always have considered going there. Yeah. We actually wanted to go with her. We said so many times, like, "Oh, we'll go with you next time you go." Yeah. And she's there right now. And we're like, "Okay, we're going later. We're hoping to go later this year, not now." But and then the numero uno, which I feel like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that's such a cop out."
Yep.
Is
our friend, your friend, and fellow member of the Commonwealth.
You gonna say it?
South Africa.
Well, that's not the country. Oh, yeah,
that is the country. How dare you?
Yeah, that was the country. But particularly, I would point out which city.
It's looking like we are going to go to Cape Rainier. Wait, sorry. Cape Town.
Cape Town. Which is like South Africa, that's not too big of a cop out until you say which city you're thinking.
Yeah, because everyone's battling.
Yeah. Johannesburg, I feel like we're kind of like maybe
Missouri. He's like, I'm from St. Louis. Ooh, I'm from Kansas City. I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
But anyway, Cape Town is where we're specifically thinking about. But yeah, South Africa is where we're considering. We've actually looked at a couple of videos of a couple of cities within South Africa that were kind of like, oh, we didn't know, or maybe going to more. It also opens up the option of maybe we do go to more than one city within the country, because they all feel like separate countries almost. I mean, but seeing if maybe we do want to like have a day trip to one of the places or overnight or a weekend at one of the places are a little more like if they have like a safari or something. I don't know. We're kind of actually, safari is not on our list of reasons of why or how we're going to choose a place, but having the option is okay to be there, but it's not a deciding factor.
Yeah. I speak for myself when I say I've been to the zoo before.
Wow. Not the same.
But isn't it?
It's not the same. But maybe you feel that way because you haven't gone.
I mean, Six Flags had a safari, and it's essentially like it's the zoo, but you drive through it. Like, what? Could you explain? Somebody in the comments explain to me what is so fascinating about it. I feel like it's propagating the stereotypes of the continent itself. I understand that it helps local economy, so if you want to keep going, by all means, but like, why? Why in particular do you want to go? Like, I saw a giraffe. I've seen giraffes too, right here.
Wow.
Okay, anyway.
Wow.
Like, but you didn't get to see the zebras. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Let's go watch the zebras.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, so those are the 3 we're considering. If you have experience in any of those 3, please, like...
Or recommendations of where to go.
Within those 3?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm still alive. I got plenty of time to go to all of them.
If you have experience with any of those 3 and would be like, yeah, you should definitely go to this one, or have more insight to like what we should consider about those 3, specifically related to having a toddler with us.
Yeah.
So if you've gone and you didn't have a toddler, that's fine. But like, based on your experience, what would you do? That'd be so helpful. I think that's kind of why we want to do these planning videos.
Yes.
Is like, even if, you know, people over time leave comments, maybe it'll help the next person to decide on a trip, or considerations for a trip. Even if it's not Africa, it could be another one. But like, oh man, I thought that for Asia, or I thought that for, you know, shoot, Canada. Like, who knows?
If anybody likes to type out there, if you would like to sway me to somewhere else,
oh yeah,
I'm open.
Because
tell me why I should go to this destination, and it better be good.
I would say so.
I need a double
to add to that, so that it makes more sense.
MLA
our backup list only has one place right now, and that's in Europe, and that is London.
Yes.
So we've been to before. We've been to England a couple of times now. Obviously, our son has not yet.
Yes.
And so that would be a simpler trip because we're familiar. I studied abroad there, and I have a video, or we have a video on our channel, or a couple of videos on our channel of our visit. I think I was pregnant. Of visiting,
which is the significance of why it's the backup. The backup. It's like when we were there, she was secretly pregnant. We didn't tell anybody. We bought like some clothes. We went to a couple of places.
Baby clothes.
Clothes. We've been there twice together.
I think, twice together.
And
so we would probably incorporate going back to the grounds of the school I went to, because you can use it as accommodations,
right?
And maybe go to some places that we didn't get to see. Like, I've never been to Stonehenge, or like, true. You know, figure out, you know, there's so many things to do in England. I know people are like, oh, it's just the UK, like it's whatever, but honestly, Great Britain has a lot to offer, and I feel like a lot of people get stuck in just London. Yeah. So
and we've never stayed in just London.
We've never stayed in London. Yeah. Right?
No.
Oh no, we did. The outskirts. Like we didn't stay in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, we were still in the city. It was just the outskirts.
Let's not get all complicated about.
Yeah, it was neighborhood.
The difference between London and the city of London, etc., etc.
No. I was thinking like downtown. Like we didn't stay like at a hotel or something. We stayed at an Airbnb.
Yes, by the consulate of Colombia, I believe.
Oh, that's where. Yeah. So like it was still London. If you have ideas for another backup that you're like, forget those, or forget the 3 countries you're thinking about and your backup. Here's an option you should think about. Please also put that in the comments.
Yeah, we are open to almost. Well, I'm a dictator, because it's my birthday. It's his birthday.
I just influence like the financials and the Auckland part.
Yeah, she has every right to not call an audible. To veto something. She has every right to, because there might be factors I'm not thinking of. I'm open to almost anywhere outside of these places that we mentioned, with the exception of Antarctica, Iceland.
That's more for my birthday.
Greenland and
and
Alaska.
All of those are places I've wanted to go to.
Not even because they're cold. I just straight up have no desire.
Yes, no. And he knows he's gonna have to go when I want to go.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly.
My 40th is gonna be Alaska. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, whenever somebody says tourism, that's the first place that pops in my mind is Iceland. Yeah.
Anyway, so I hope this is valuable. Seeing all the many thoughts that we had when it comes to planning and trying to figure out our trips. Yeah. Next video, we're hoping that we at least have a country.
Yeah, by that point we would have it.
Because we need to buy flights soon.
The country and the probably more precise date of when we're going, because we're kind of like in flux. We have an idea of around it's like around my birthday ish. Doesn't need to be necessarily on the birthday. I'm not one of those people. The gift is the gift. So we've been trying to navigate that as well.
Yeah. So we'll say it right here and now. We'll know what country we're going to, what continent and country we're going to, obviously. Yes. Let alone city, maybe city, we don't know, but we'll know for sure what country we're going to.
Yes.
And maybe we'll talk more about flights. And so that'll be the main topic of like what we're considering for flights, layovers. Right now I'm thinking definitely a layover regardless of where we go, just because it kind of breaks it up for us, but maybe that's not the way to go. So that's something to consider.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about it in the next video. So definitely come back. And like we said, we're trying to do one a month of these planning videos, or what was it? Every other month. If we don't really have anything to say. If we don't do one next month, that means that we didn't figure out where we're going.
Yeah.
Which gives us not as much time to figure it out before the actual trip.
If you guys watch and engage with this video enough, I'll even put out a short letting you know that there hasn't been an update, just so you feel like we're
keeping you up.
We're keeping you up to date.
Yes.
But for right now, we're gonna do it as we feel. We're gonna feel it out.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you real soon.
And we hope that you come back. Make sure you subscribe and definitely click the notification bell, because we're not sure when we're going to post the next video. It's not, but you'll at least have a new video from us once a month. And so notification bell will come handy. So like this video if you liked it, and we will see you next time. Bye.